One of the biggest parts about this deck is this card right here that I have up on the screen for you, and it is Archie's Ace in the Hole. This is the supporter card, which supporter cards, you can only play one supporter card during your turn, and if you haven't played Pokemon, there's a great video by the professor where he teaches you how to play the game in about 10 minutes. So I'll kind of walk you through how to play the game while we're in gameplay, but basically... Archie's Ace in the Hole is kind of the biggest part of this deck. So Archie's Ace in the Hole is very specific and says that you can only play this card when it is the last card in your hand. So you have to have no other cards. But you can put when you cast it, you put a blue Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench and draw 5 cards. So in Pokemon, you have a bench of Pokemon that are basically, you can only have one Pokemon active at a time. But basically, when you do that, you can put a Pokemon from your discard pile on your bench, which can hold up to 5 Pokemon at a time. And then you have one active Pokemon for your total 6. So now this deck is revolved around Archie's Ace in the Hole and this Blastoise card. So Blastoise is a very interesting card in that it's a stage 2 Pokemon. So normally you would have to have, Squirtle and then Wartortle and then Blastoise. But because of Archie's Ace in the Hole, we can just put it onto the bench. We don't have to go through the evolution chain. So the reason we play this Blastoise card is this Deluge ability right here, which might be a little bit hard to read because it's a kind of a bright red on this blue background, which is kind of interesting. But it says, as often as you like during your turn, before your attack, you may attach a blue energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Now this kind of gets around a ability of the game where you can only attach one energy card per turn. So you can kind of dump, reasonably 3 to 4, but on a really good turn, like 5 energy cards to a Pokemon. So that is a really cool ability. And the attack that he has, Hydro Pump here, is actually kind of indicative of how this deck works, because the Pokemon that you're putting these creatures, or that you're attaching these energy cards to, generally have attacks that scale based on how many energy cards they have attached to them. So Hydro Pump deals 60 damage and requires 4 energy cards, which is pretty steep. But again, using the Deluge ability, we're able to get a lot of energy cards onto a Pokemon, the turn that we put it into play. So it does 10 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. So because we only run water energies in the deck, if you have 4 energy cards attached to Blastoise, it deals 100 damage. So that's pretty good on its own. And as you can see, it has a pretty steep retreat cost as well. So that's if you want to move it back to your bench. But we have some kind of ways around that as well. So we'll go through the rest of the creatures here, or the rest of the creatures. I'm sorry, I'm a Magic content creator, so that's kind of my default language. So the next card we have here is Jirachi EX. Now, one thing to be very clear about as well is if you knock out a EX Pokemon, then you get 2 prize cards, and that's kind of how you win the game. You have 6 prize cards, and if you get all of your prize cards, then you win the game. So Jirachi, I think it's the only EX card that we have. But basically, Jirachi EX, the reason we have it in the deck, we don't even have the Steel Energy for it to use as attack. We have it basically so that it's another way to have a last card in your deck. So Jirachi, when you put him or her into play, uses the ability Stellar Guidance. So when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for a supporter card, which would be Archie's Ace in the Hole, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck afterwards. So this is a good way to have a third option to just go, this is my last card, I'm just going to put it into play. And then you just pull out your Archie's Ace in the Hole and you're set. So the next Pokemon that I have here is Articuno. Now, Articuno doesn't have the same synergy for, just like being able to have its attack scale with the amount of blue energy cards that you have attached to him. But Articuno kind of plays a synergistic role in the deck anyway. So It has an ability, this plus ability up here. I just pointed to the screen like you could see me. But it says, if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack of this Pokemon, then take one more prize card. So basically, it kind of helps pump you up so you're drawing more prize cards from your prize card pool, and you can win a little bit quicker. Also, so the Chilling Sigh requires only one blue energy, and it makes it so that your opponent's active Pokemon is asleep, which can kind of buy you some time to get to your combo. And then Tri-Edge is also a fairly good attack, and just requiring 3 energy, you're able to get that to that pretty quickly with Blastoise's ability. Keldeo EX basically has the same thing that Blastoise had, where it says does 20 damage for each blue energy card attached to this Pokemon. So at baseline, it does 110 damage, which is really good. You know, you want to be able... Clearing 100 damage is a kind of good baseline. But it has this other ability, Rush In. Once during your turn before your attack, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may switch it with a Pokemon with your active Pokemon. So you can have a Pokemon out on the table as your active Pokemon, and then you basically dump a bunch of energy cards onto Keldeo, use the Rush In ability, and then hit them with the Secret Sword and just kind of knock out their Pokemon. It's good when you can do that. Seismitoad is just kind of another utility creature. There's our other EX Pokemon. Quaking Punch is an interesting ability. I don't really know a whole lot about the meta for Pokemon, so I know that this is good. It's also kind of a card that buys time. And so this attack deals 130 damage, but also deals 30 damage to 2 of your bench Pokemon, which is something we can get around later. But we only have 1 of Seismitoad. Our next card is Wailord EX. Is just kind of a heavy hitter. You can remove, with this ability, you can remove special conditions like burn or poison. And then he has a high energy requirement, but it's just also another plus 100 attack that is really good. So Wailord EX, good in this deck. Manaphy also kind of helps us get around. Most of our Pokemon have really high retreat cost, so this makes it so that you just attach a blue energy card to a creature and its retreat cost is lower. This is also good because healing 30 damage from each of your bench Pokemon can kind of help you get back up. You know, if you have a lot of Pokemon that have weakness to your opponent's Pokemon, then that kind of helps, you know, build around that thing. So we're getting into the trainer cards. This is kind of a classic one. This has been around since the very beginning. Shuffle 2 cards from your hand into your deck, and then you draw a card. So it kind of helps you dig for the combo piece. We have 4 of this. Thanks, Death by Chaos. Yeah, unfortunately, it's the only language I know. So these are basically all looting effects too. So they're like faithless looting and the like Manamorphose effects, I guess. How are you doing, Deathly Chaos? Death by Chaos. So Ultra Ball let you discard 2 cards from your hand, which helps us get to our last, the last card, which we need is Archie's Ace in the Hole. If you do search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So you can put that Pokemon onto the bench, and that's totally fine. And then as long as you don't go over 5 Pokemon, you need to be able to have a spot open for Blastoise. But this does let you discard energy cards for another. I'm sorry to hear that you're sick. Hopefully you do get feeling better. But thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you coming to hang out with us. Oh, thanks for following, Deathly Chaos. I appreciate it. Always glad to have new followers. So Ultra Ball is pretty good. Like I said, it helps us find a Pokemon. So this you could easily find the what's that last Pokemon that the Jirachi. So that way you can put it into play, search up for the Archie's Ace in the Hole, and then play it. It's another way to just kind of force in the combo. So I have 2 Ultra Balls, I guess, but I just have 2 different arts. Sometimes that happens. It's the same thing with Magic, but is what it is. You just kind of have to do what you can. Superior Energy Retrieval. So this is another way to discard cards out of your hand. and this lets you put 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. You can't choose a card you discarded with this effect. So basically what you can do is it helps you get to less cards in your hand. So you could discard 2 energy cards and not be able to retrieve them back. So like, let's say you're able to only get 1 energy card back with this, then you can play the energy card and be cards down out of your hand and still be kind of going towards Archie's Ace in the Hole. Versus Seeker is a way to put a supporter card like Archie's Ace in the Hole from your discard pile into your hand. So that's a good way to kind of help fuel the combo. Max Elixir is another good one. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach a basic energy card. You find there to a basic Pokemon on your bench. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So this is a good way to just kind of thin out your deck and also get free energy cards attached to things, because that does not count to your 1 energy card per turn. So you can just, helps dig you through your deck, get past 6 cards, and also pull out an energy card and put it on a bench Pokemon. Trainer's Mail, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a trainer card from there and put it in your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. This is kind of like Goblin Lore, except for just for yourself. And we have 2 of those in the deck. Battle Compressor. So search your deck for 3 cards and discard them. So this is a good way to get rid of a Blastoise, put it in your graveyard, or your discard pile. I'm sorry. You can get some energy cards for an super energy retrieval, or you can discard Archie's Ace in the Hole for the Versus Seeker, which lets you pull a supporter card from your discard pile to your hand. Acrobike is another looting effect. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 of them in your hand, and discard the other. The Max Elixir we've already talked about. Rough Seas is a card in the deck that lets you heal your blue Pokemon 30 damage each turn. So that's just kind of a good card to help you, against like an aggressive deck, to kind of help, especially against electric themed decks. Professor Sycamore, discard your hand and draw 7 cards. It's Wheel of Fortune. Then you scry 3. Yeah. So Professor Sycamore lets you discard your hand and draw 7 cards. So you can, if you have a hand that's just kind of you can discard like an Archie's Ace in the Hole and a Blastoise and a few other things, draw cards that let you retrieve them from your yard. But this does put you back to 7 cards in hand, so you have to be careful with how you use this. There's Archie's Ace in the Hole. We've already discussed this, but again, this is kind of one of the big cards for the deck, so you want to use this as carefully as possible. Lysander we only have 1 of them in the deck. You may pay only 1. You can only play 1 supporter card per turn, but this lets you switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with one of his or her active Pokemon. And basically that kind of gets rid of a Pokemon that they've been stacking up a bunch of energy cards, or it can remove a Pokemon that move a Pokemon from their bench that you can kill. So that's kind of a good way to put it in the final punch and be kind of okay. N is another shuffle effect, but it shuffles both. So like right after your opponent tutors for specific cards out of their deck, you can N to force them to shuffle them back into their deck. It's kind of a good card in that fashion. Battle Reporter, you draw cards until you have the same number of cards as your opponent, which is just very solid. If you're down to maybe an energy card or 2 and you need to get back into the game, Battle Reporter can definitely help with that. Fighting Fury Belt is basically like an equipment in Magic. You attach it to a Pokemon, and it gets 40 more HP, and its attacks deal 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So you can just kind of throw it on there to kind of help push over damage and also give your Pokemon a health boost. Floatstone also is another way to help get past your retreat costs. So you can put it on a Whale Lord, and it will have 0 retreat costs instead of 4. Just a great all-around trainer card. Also easy to get out of your hand. And then we are playing some water energy cards, because that's what we do. We're playing 11 of them. So that's the deck. So let's go ahead and get into some games here. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play, because we're playing against a deck that a lot of people will auto concede to if they see that we're starting to go for it. So whatever. So I wanted to show you this. This is kind of like a versus ladder. So as you see down here, I already have a win streak of 2, which is pretty good. And we're playing the expanded format, which like I said, I don't know the legality system of Pokemon. So maybe somebody in the chat that knows Pokemon TCGO a little bit better can help me out with that. But basically, whenever you win, you get energy, like right here. And as you can see here, when you go up to the next level, you get a reward. So these are like little treasure chests. These coins are in-game currency to buy things, and event tickets are event tickets. You can play in events in the game. Hey, what's up, Paintball Demon? How are you doing tonight? Hope your Saturday's been going pretty good. But you can also win booster packs, as you see here. So once we get to 170 energy, you can get some booster packs and crack them. And then there's also, as you can see here, there's some cards that you can win. So there's Primal Groudon, I think is how you say it, EX. It's a Primal Reversion card, and it's also super nice and foily and has some Japanese text there, which I don't know any Japanese, so I'm not going to assume what it says, but you can win some kind of cool, and as you go up in tiers, you can earn more cards and more boosters and whatnot and more event tickets. So we're going to just see how far we can get tonight, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun.